What up, America? What up, America? What up, America? Happy Saturday night. Happy Saturday night. Welcome to America After Dark one-on-one exclusive interview to this young man, Robert Bryant. It was time. It was time. I wanted to save him for last. I didn't want to. I didn't want nobody to take no other part in this interview. This is first exclusive interview and with this Our Black Media with America. Welcome, young man. Welcome, young man, to America After Dark one-on-one with you.
Good to be back. Good to be back. Been about a couple years, or a year, so who knows?
Yeah. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. This I called a little young fella and I said, you know what? I call him little young fella because I'm the big dog here, you know. And I wanted definitely to interview this young man, and it basically is like, hey, it's let's clear it up, Savannah, Georgia. Let's clear it up, Savannah, Georgia. People gonna always talk about you in a good way. People are always gonna talk about you in a negative way. Just people in general. But we here tonight to clear all that shit up tonight. You know what I'm saying? So call your mama, your daddy, your brother, and your sister, and tell them America After God got the one and only little fella Robert Bryant, have raised and born in Savannah, Georgia, and we here to clear things up. And we want to share. And like I say, welcome to One-on-One with America. How you living?
That's it. That's what we'll begin here. All is well. I'll tell you, life is busy. We just got off of a wild campaign. It was successful in its own way, and there are other things we got cooking in the fire that'll be coming up soon. And the only thing is, we got to figure out, for me at least, is figure out how do we get the younger generation involved, because it's time for folks 45 years old and under to get involved. And not only that, one of the things I don't think some people don't know, but when Dad passed, I look at things like they do in Britain sometime, and that the patriarch. And so when Dad passed a year ago, I kind of quote unquote became the patriarch of Dad's side of the family. So we're a male heavy family on that side, and so that I take that role very seriously. And so with that, and working and managing Mom, life is good, but it's busy.
Yeah. All right. So my first question to you is that people want to know, and I always say word on the street, who is Robert Bryant? Who is Robert Bryant? That's what they want to know. Who is Robert Bryant?
Oh gosh, I wish I knew. And that's real. I'll be honest with you, man. I tell people all the time, I'm whatever God asks me to do. And sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes, God will I tell people all the time, you never do anything right or wrong. You do whatever God put in your your path. And that could be anything. But I'll start back when, I was born here in Savannah, Georgia, Liberty City. Mom and Dad, they started over on Bay Street in the projects. And then they built themselves up. And so my brother and I were very privileged in what we received and what they have here in their home. And I live in that home now. But I ended up going to public school, graduated from Windsor Forest, and then I grew up in a family. When I came along, it wasn't where you were going to college. I mean, when you're going to college is where. So I ended up going to Georgia Southern. During that time, I had my issues. And when I never forget a story where my mother and father actually drove to Statesboro and said, all that drinking you got going on, you need to tail it down or you'll be back home. That's how they handle stuff. It wasn't no, around the corner stuff. They very direct. So we ended up getting a bachelor's in public relations, master's of higher education administration. Went on to Georgia to work, University of Georgia. Got a PhD in adult education and did research on leadership. And from there, I've been in college all my life doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work for students. So multicultural student affairs. I went from Georgia Southern to UGA. Then I went to Morehouse for a while and did corporate relations. From Morehouse to Florida State, University of North Georgia, University of North Georgia to Georgia State. Then I went on to Bridgewater College in Virginia. Now I'm at Clemson where I do corporate and foundation relations for inclusion and equity work. So I still all that to say it's been a privileged life, and I just
Mm,
thank for mom, dad, and people that have been in this community help raise me.
yeah.
Because had it not been for them, God knows where I could have been. A lot of people don't know this. I have a brother who's incarcerated, and so that's the difference. And I tell people this: it's big to have a support system, but more so than that, see, when my mother and father were, when they were working, my brother he come home to nothing, to nobody, and so he had idle mind. By the time I came along, mom had retired by the time I went to middle school. So by that time, it was you come home, you do your homework, and that's it. So
Mm-hmm.
just thank God for the support system and the things that God put around you, because nothing I do is without God
Yeah.
and
It,
without them.
right. Right. And I
Yeah.
know a lot, and I know a lot of people gonna say, and because the word on the street, I know a lot of people gonna say, okay, well, why do this interview now?
Hmm.
Um, After the race, why not before? And I'm gonna tell you why. One thing I know about this young man is that you don't want too much on his plate. You know what I'm saying? He's the type of person, he's gonna focus on the task. And I don't want to have his mind focus on interview or have his mind focus. No, he did a task, he did a great job. So now it's like, okay, let's move forward into a better situation. Let's move forward. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't interview him. I know I interviewed um, um, Keisha, and I interviewed Todd, and I interviewed other people, but I wanted to make sure that this young fella stay focused on the task. And I want to say that you did a great, 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 great job.
I was thinking, yeah.
Don't let nobody, because I stayed on your ass. I stayed.
A lot of people did. Trust me.
People don't know I don't stay at home. I remember the little young fella came to my house in Atlanta, Georgia, like a little puppy dog, and and we had a long conversation, and we build a bond
Yeah.
that nobody can break, because we walk the same role as a caregiver. You was a
Yeah.
caregiver for your mama and your daddy, and I was a caregiver for my wife. So we know how it is for being a caregiver, because you got to put your heart and soul in it.
Right.
So
That's it.
if y'all want to know why now, that's the reason why now.
Hmm.
So on a serious note, what is your biggest fear in life? What is your
Oh
biggest fear?
wow. Oh wow. Mm. Well, give it. I guess not being able to understand my purpose and my calling. I just came through, I would say, a spiritual warfare that I don't even think I'm done with yet. But I had a good high school friend, Phil Slim. And he goes by Earl Epperson. We grew up from kindergarten through high school together. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me. Well, I knew certain things I were doing I wasn't supposed to be doing. But he had to sit me down and said, listen, your dad is sitting down in heaven looking at you right now, and you know what you're doing ain't right, and you know what you got to do to get things right. And so when he broke it down to me like that, it was so clear. And I said, I've been looking for somebody to do that for like a couple of years now. So I think with me, it's being able to stay, because it's not, people think it's easy to stay focused. It's not easy to stay focused. It's easy to go through things that might be fun or that gives you that 5-minute pleasure or whatever, but it's just being not. That's my biggest fear, is not being able to see or being able to receive purpose and calling through people or through the spirit, and making a grave mistake. And so that really is my biggest fear.
Yeah, yeah. And I understand that, because people, that was a question like your biggest fear, and you be looking at like, okay, you know,
Mm.
this that, but at the end of the day, you know who you are.
Right, right.
You know who you are. And like I said, this interview is basically clear up Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
Cleared up Savannah, Georgia. And we're gonna clear up a lot of stuff tonight, and then we ain't gonna have to go back no more after this.
And I tell people this all the time. A lot of people say, well, you got this doctorate degree, you should know these things. No, let me tell you something about stuff and degrees. None of that matters when you take all of that off, you're still a human. And like I tell people, I'm just like the next person. I just was given a gift and a privilege to do certain things, and all that does is give me a license to do and operate in certain ways and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you become human, you do human things. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you get so deep in human things, you go down this rabbit hole. And so, it's people think that, oh, you just have it all together. Nobody has it all together. I can
Yeah.
tell you that. Especially when you got a mama that's dying, one that parent that died, and another one in prison. You
Right.
don't have it all together.
Right.
And you try to be that glue, or you try to do the things you're supposed to, but sometimes you go down the
Yeah.
path that you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's just life. Hell.
Yeah. And that's real. We you human being. I know you took a lot of beating. I know you took a lot of criticism. I know you took, man, people talking about you, throwing
Mhm.
you under the bus. And I mean, politics is really a dirty, dirty, dirty game. And people don't realize you putting your livelihood out there, your personal life out there for Savannah, Georgia. And some things you like, hey, that's your personal life. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nobody's business. So my question is him, why did you like felt like
Mhm.
it was your time to run for the fifth district
Yeah.
and be ridiculed the way you was? um what made you say, okay, the time is now?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I ran for public service commission, I think it was 8 years ago. I thought about doing it then, but I knew what it would mean to the community. I knew it was going to create a split. And so I backed off, and Jay Jones was, and I give Jay Jones his credit. He said, well, you ought to consider public service commission. This is when I first met Jay Jones, and he and I talked about it, and that made sense. As we went on forward, and I started talking to people like Dr. Jones, Betty Jones, and I started talking to the Dr. Pat Harris's, and then being around Pastor Small, and then knowing what Richard Mole and Mr. Burke and Mr. Burkstein and my daddy, they built this neighborhood. I tell people a lot of times, I'm not being mean about it, whatever. My mom and daddy was one of the first families in this Liberty City to build a home. It was trees. And so then you start thinking about the elders and what they built and what they expected. And then you start hearing these stories about what's not happening and how the land is being encroached and how Tatumville is being ignored and how our black communities are being sold out. And you got to do something. It then becomes a bigger issue because I've lived in many communities, from Tallahassee to Atlanta to Harrisonburg, Virginia, to Athens, Georgia. So that's how me and Tiffany became close. So I've seen Bethel Homes in Athens. I know what the east side of Athens. So I know these conversations around gentrification. And I just couldn't allow the elders to be disappointed. And so I said, well, let me put my name in the hat. And when I put my name in the hat, I met the Mr. Fields. I met the Tatumville people. I met the folks on the south side who felt, you people were disenfranchised, ignored, and hurting. And while I don't have a magic wand to change all that, I felt that I had a better approach and I had a better mindset and ethos to go into the conversation different than my opponent. And it's not that I dislike my opponent. I just have a very different philosophical view on what we need to be doing to preserve our communities. It's not that we don't want change, but we want to preserve the first district and the fifth district because these are where our black neighborhoods were. This is the one story I've always talked about. See, my daddy grew up in a segregated Savannah. When you couldn't go into Ardsley Park, you couldn't go into Georgetown. Hell, you couldn't even really do nothing but walk around the east side and parts of the west side. The only two schools that were available were Tompkins and Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you understand who you are in your history, you recognize the importance of now and the preservation of our areas. And then you learn about SCAD buying up Montgomery Street, which then
Yeah.
threatens our communities. So it
Yeah.
became a very urgent issue. And I just couldn't sit idly by and just do nothing. And that's kind of how I got to it, and it became an urgent issue immediately. When you put all that stuff together, it's like, no, I'm not gonna let our people just go down like this.
Yeah. And I understand what you're saying, um, because when you got a big heart and you care about situation like you do, and one thing that you do that I admire you of is that what you say come out your mouth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you have the passion and the heart um for Savannah people. I done been to a town meeting with you. I done been in certain thing with you, doing this, doing that race. You had opened my eyes with a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, you calmed me down in one of them. Well, I was about to kill somebody up in there. But you have um that motivation to people to follow. A lot of people don't follow people because they figure they're fake, they're lying.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, I think the situation that you was in with the fifth district, is a lot of. I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of corruption going on. It was a lot of paper bags panned around, and it's a lot of okay. The first thing they say, well, who's Robert Bryant and this and that. So at the end of the day, it's a future. It's a
Yeah.
future.
And I found that to be quite funny. That was the funny. The who question was funny to me when those were the same people that voted for me for public service commission just
Yeah,
4 years ago. So
yeah,
that one with that one, I get it and I didn't get it. So
right.
I was like, okay, y'all, we'll play that game.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how just
Yeah, I said whatever.
you know and like I said, you cleared up some of the stuff like, hey, who are you? Don't say, well, who is Robert Bryan? Okay, he's a human being.
Yeah.
He bleeds just like we all bleed. He got feeling just like we all got feeling. So don't try to throw this man under the bus of Stella just to get your people to vote for you 4 more years, because what you did in 12 years, you ain't gonna do in the next 4 years. And this just me, period. My thing in this RG is that, I'm very passionate about what I say. I'm very
Mhm.
passionate about Savannah, and I see Savannah, Georgia is heading to a disaster. It's gonna be another Charlotte, Charleston. It's gonna be another Hilton Head. It's gonna be another New Orleans. It's gonna be all that. So tell us, Savannah people, what are your fear going forward for them? What are your fear going forward for them to know?
Well, the biggest thing is if we don't get involved, we meaning the people of Tatumville who didn't vote, the people of Can Park who didn't vote, the people who feel disenfranchised, the people who are felons who feel like they can't vote, the people who feel disconnected. We need you all reconnected. This is your community. And that's my biggest fear is people not realizing this is their community. It's not mine. It's not hers. It's not the developers. It's ours. But when they don't see us or we taking an investment in our neighborhood, we lose out. It's almost like a car that you don't drive. Somebody gonna actually do you want to sell it, right? And so we don't want to sell our neighborhoods, but we need them involved. And so one of the things I've done, I've committed to three things, and I'm hoping I can get my sister Rashida and my brother Todd to continue in this race too as we move forward. Because we got to figure out how do we get people back engaged, number one. And number two, we got to figure out how do we make the issues relevant to people. I think what was the biggest thing that helped the other team win was this whole idea of civility. It was a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Fair game, they won. But at the same time, they missed the whole idea that the same people that won lied to you about property tax and your rent going up. The same people have hurt small black businesses. And so we're not somehow that message got mixed up in there. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we get our people engaged and invested in voting? But most often, most importantly, how do we get them energetic around the issues? And I think that's the biggest piece. It's not about civility. I mean, for God's sakes, we weren't talking about civility when Martin and Malcolm came along. So why is civility
Right,
important,
right,
important
right.
now? And it's not that anybody was uncivil, because if you be honest, if you go to these debates, the opponents were more uncivil than anybody.
Yeah,
I think the only candidates that really I could say that one that were really just approachable was Carol Bell. Carol was the only that one. She's the only one that was being approached by outside of Alicia and Bernetta. The other ones they were rude. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's this is what. But my biggest fear is that people don't take this seriously and get engaged because we got judgeships coming up, we
Yeah.
got county commission coming up,
Yeah.
but most importantly, we have your communities coming up, and the more you get disenfranchised, the more you're going to lose your investment called community.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I have a question. I have a question. Um, are you hurt about the outcome? And if you is,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
why? Why?
Well, no. I think with me, it took. So I took a few days to think about what do I want to do next, and I thought about like, man, it really be nice to go live. When you work in higher education, you get a chance to move around. As I said, I worked at several different universities. I lived in Tallahassee, I lived in Atlanta, and I really love Atlanta, Houston, and LA, and that life. And I thought about it, and I said, well, if God makes that the thing, so be it. And so I tell you where I landed at. I said one or two things are going to happen. Something's going to happen where I ended up being engaged in the community here, and I've already working on two different projects. What will really be cool if they gave me a call about Savannah State's presidency, RVP. That would be really cool. I mean, I'm qualified for either or, and I'm being serious about that. Because you know, and the biggest piece to this. The biggest piece is I can't do anything as long as I have to take care of mama. So right now I'm here. I'm not going to move her and I'm not going to leave her. So surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And so was I heard about it? Not really. I think the biggest thing was I'll be honest, and I hope people are not going to like it or whatever. I don't think the numbers were. Something was off. I'll say that. A number of us believe that, but we can't prove it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I will say I don't think that was the cleanest race. You're not going to tell me that you won by 40 over 80 to 100 votes last time and you won over 800. That just didn't make sense. So that was a little weird. But I'm not one to just cry with spilled milk. In fact, I did a video and I asked the 50 residents and the coalition and people to work with her. That's what she won. We got to work with her. But if we want different in the future, we got to do the things to get different. And that means neighborhood association presidents, I need you all to figure out, let's work together. And I'm willing to work with them. Let's figure out how do we get young people involved. So we can't sit here and lick our wounds. We got to figure out how do we get people involved.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping I can get others to do as well.
Yeah. And that's the key. I mean, I said Wednesday night on the Rabble, I said, you know what? I said, okay, let's get back to the drawing board. Just because you won and you going back in January 2024, that don't mean you got an easy pass.
Right.
All it did was it stepped up the pressure on us to like, look here, y'all need to do the right thing. Y'all need to start giving all these lookalikes out. Y'all need to stop giving money where it don't need to be. Y'all need to stop building all these hotels. Y'all need to stop putting $20 and $30 million on brick down on Broad Street. Y'all need to fix these streets when you going around, you hitting a bump and tearing your car up. And then when you want it fixed, you have to come out your pocket to fix it. But it's the city, the one got these bad roads and shit. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? Let me tell you this here, RG. This what I love about you I said, you know what? Go in on their ass. I said, get nasty, get dirty, bring it out. They're going nasty and dirty on you. Bring all their skeleton out their closet. And you just kept calm and you ran a clean race. And I admire you for that.
Oh yeah.
But for me, man, I would have brought out the ranch, the cheese, the everything. Because by any means necessary, I would have brought out you in everything. Trust me.
That goes. That's just some. I'll dial it when I'm in the. So you saw two different parts of me. The debate was a very different me. I tell people when I debate you, I'm going to go for the kill. Other than that, I have to channel mom and daddy. A lot of times I'm channeling them on what their expectations are, and a lot of times I'll get off track with that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'll never forget this, and it made me so furiously mad. But I said, whatever. See, what people don't realize, you don't know who you're talking to sometimes. I'll never
Mm-hmm.
forget. I went to a community meeting, and a lady told me, who I know very well. I grew up with her daughter. I ain't gonna say where, but we know each other. Our families are cool.
Right, right.
But she told me not to speak to you, not to trust you. And I had to remind her that you grew up with my daughter. It was stuff like that. And I'm like, how many other people did? I'll never forget one time I went to, in the very neighborhood I live in, I went to a resident to just talk. Get out my MF and y'all. And I'm like, what have we become? And
Yeah.
so even in that moment, I was like, ma'am, I appreciate you. I just want to come by and tell you how long and shake your hand. But
Yeah.
when to me, it was like it's gotten too personally and nasty.
Yeah.
And so, but then again, and even in that debate, it is in those spaces. I had Mr. Fields and his son. They helped me canvas. You gotta model better behavior, but also you got people you gotta protect.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always used to tell people that these canvas from me, don't you get to argue. Let me handle that because
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you getting hurt or injured or whatever. Let me take the hit. And so I always have to remember that that you don't want it up in the paper, but at the same time you got to protect the people who are on your side, who are working alongside you, because they expect better, and that's just what we need to be doing.
And you're absolutely right. And like I say, I want all y'all to share, share, share. Call your mama, call your daddy. That I got the one and only little young fella, Robert Bryant. We clean things up in Savannah, Georgia. And he's on one with America. And like I say, y'all share, share, share. Tell your mama. Share on YouTube, Facebook, Our Black Media, Roku. Thank everybody for all our sponsors that sponsor our
Mhm.
show and that sponsor all us Our Black Media. One thing about Our Black Media, we keep it real, we unapologetic, and sometimes we get unfiltered. So this interview is gonna be so special. Is no commercial break.
That's
There's no
it.
commercial. I wanted y'all to really dial in for 2028.
Yeah.
Dial in for 2028 because I'm like this in RG. You ain't gonna beat me and talk shit, and I ain't coming back. And
Well,
trust me.
and then I'm not going to share a full strategy, but I do know I would love I would love to see all of the candidates. I think Tia, Taylor, Rashida, Todd, Clint, all of them were great candidates. I will hope all of them come back, whether it be county commission, school board, or city council. The thing I think that I wasn't heard about me. I'm gonna tell you what happened after when they announced the thing. My first and Mr. Fields will tell you, my first go to was I got to go check on Todd and Rashida. Those two young people deserve and Mike, but I had to check on those two because those two people put. I'm talking about Todd and Rashida left it on the field. So
Yeah.
I went and I had to check on them first. That's just I look I wasn't the oldest out of the young group, but I still look at all of those candidates as the younger people. So to me, I was kind of, and that's why I had to model different behavior because I didn't want. Even there were times where I told Todd, "You back up." I handle it. I wouldn't even let him jump on Linda because they expect me to act the fool sometimes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have checked on them because, I think Savannah did itself a disservice.
Yeah.
With leaving out Mike, Todd, and Rashida. Rashida, I'm talking about Rashida is a brilliant young lady. Brilliant. Brilliant. Rashida, out of all of us, she was a detail oriented, intelligent, detail. I mean, she is that person, detail oriented, got it together. This is what we're gonna do. But she's strategic. And Todd is just an entrepreneur, approachable. I mean, they just had a different skill set that I think that counts are needed and they missed out on.
Yeah. Yeah. Great, man. Like I said, I enjoy. I have never been into politics. I really never have. I'm not a politician person. I'm a people person, and I'm always grinding because I coach for 26 years, and it's the grind, boys and girls. So I'm always competing, and I don't compete with nobody but myself. I compete with myself. If I can beat myself, I can beat anybody. You know what I'm saying? And so my question to you is this here, and it's not throwing. I do the throwing people. One thing about coming on America, I throw that. one thing about America After Dark, when you come on America After Dark, I'm gonna tell you business. It's just where it is. You know what I'm saying? And I love. Somebody told me one day, RG said, little fella. They call me little fella. It's little fella. It's the older guy. I ain't gonna tell you. He said, little fella. He said, let me tell you something. He said, I love what you're doing. He said, I love your personality. I love your smile. I love how you get in people's ass and be smiling at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You know, and he said, you just keep doing what you're doing. You know, don't matter what nobody say, because I know you don't care about what nobody say. And to piggyback on that is, you don't care about what people say about you because you know where you come from. You know what I'm saying? You know where you come from. You know where you're going. So the question is him, how do you feel about Van Johnson?
So with Van, here's the issue. I have to separate the person from the politician. The politician is just not a good person. I think my thing, and some people know this and some people don't. My first issue with him came when Joyce Griggs was the Democratic nominee for Congressional District 1 from Savannah. I was the Democratic nominee for District 1 for the Public Service Commission. We have a sitting mayor who's a Democrat who would not endorse us. That's selfish. That was downright selfish. And I said to myself, and I said, you're going to regret the day you did that. Not that I was going to come do anything to him, but there was going to come a time when you wanted us to back you up. Now, I'm not going to speak for Joyce, but for me, it's this. It was not only that. It was the fact that you also want to be considered a fraternity brother, which is why I say fraternity member when Teray brings it up. So you just totally ignore all of our existence, but all of a sudden you want us to support your agenda. Now you add on what you're doing that you don't want us to know you're doing as far as the developers and selling our communities, and you're not doing anything. You never did anything for District 1. And if you grew up in Savannah and you watch and then you think, and then you're like, so what value are you offering me or this city or our Black communities? And so at that point, I made a decision. I can't support you. You have not done anything substantial for our communities. You have ignored certain things that you should have not ignored. And you have basically become very selfish. So to me, the politician is a selfish person. The personal person, I've never really been around because of the selfish politician. And so, I mean, if he ever wanted to have coffee, I would have coffee with him. But the problem is, you cannot keep that selfish behavior and think people are going to gravitate to you. And the thing that got me so locked, like I couldn't fathom it, in certain parts of the 5th District, they would not even give Keisha a voice. So you mean to tell me y'all are going to adopt his selfish behavior, not even give her a chance to tell you about what she's offering or shut her out completely, but yet that's civility. So again, now you playing mind games with people. And so that's where I am with him. It's like, when you want to be real with folks, when you want to be honest with people, and when you want to be fair, we can talk about it. But other than that, I can't. Say, for example, if he runs for governor or for Congress, I will not support him, because you got to stop being so dog-headed selfish about things and expect people to just jump on the bandwagon. I'm not that person. I'm not going to jump on your bandwagon just because you happen to pay your dues. Well, look at the 1st District. It has not grown under your leadership. So again, I think there's some things that got to be better, and you got 4 years to prove us wrong. But I think you're going to see 4 years of another more of the same, and that means our people lose out, and we get nothing from the deal. But again, and then this is the thing that really added to the mess. People don't know this. Because I ran for Public Service Commission, I sit on the Democratic Party of Georgia. I am a state member of the Democratic Party of Georgia. When you brought Stacey and all them down here, that was a slap in the face to a Democrat, to a member of the. So you telling me, and then you're telling me that y'all gonna allow them to break the bylaws of the Democratic Party of Georgia to come down here and to campaign for you and Estelle and the other ones. That was wrong. And so to sit there and do that and break the rules and act like you don't know what's going on, I mean, we it's good. We good, as people say, we good.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So what you think about him in this 5-vote thing? What you think about him? It take 5 votes to bring anything to the table. That's ridiculous. I never heard nothing like that in my whole life.
I want people to understand this, especially the black folk. Why wasn't that the rule when he was a council person? Why all of a sudden now does that have to be the rule? I question that, but it wasn't the rule when he was a council person. I don't know all of a sudden why did it have to change? No, I mean, why can't it be one person? So again, there's an agenda behind that. You can't tell me there isn't. Why if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this young man I think he's selfish, he arrogant. I think he a coward. I think he have dragged 20 years, sucked 20 years out of Savannah, Georgia, especially the first district. In my opinion, is my opinion, not our black media opinion. I think y'all go ahead into a disaster for 4 more years. If you ain't did it in 20 years, what you gonna do in 4 years? I think he's being brought out. I think he's, me personally, I think he need to pack his bag tomorrow and go back to New York City. I think there's a lot of stuff that this young man is sucking out of Savannah, Georgia to benefit him in the near future. Because 4 more years is it. He can't run no more. This is it. So watch what he do in the next 4 years so he can benefit for it, because he know this is his last rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all, Savannah, y'all have to be careful about what y'all have just did to Savannah, Georgia. And that's what I see, and that's my opinion. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. So I have this question here. Do you feel like you could have did more? Number one, do you feel like you could did more? Number two, do you feel like you let the fifth district down? 2-part question.
The first one, well, more meaning as far as getting, I think what happened, and I told a number of people this, I told the supporters this, I told the canvassers this, I told the neighborhood associations this. Savannah has a habit of voting at 20%, and that has always favored the incumbents. Jay Jones will tell you that, Julius Hall will tell you that, Charlie Brown will tell you that. And I said that number stays around 20%, the incumbents are going to win. Well, it stayed around 20%. I've already had these conversations that we've got to get that number to 30% or above, which meant younger voters were going to come in. We couldn't. So we knew going in that if that number stayed around 20%. So what I think would have been better, and a lot of some of the candidates who will disagree on this, we should have run collectively. The ones of us who really agree should have run collectively and combined our resources. We would have never raised the kind of money they did, but we could have had people calling people, phone calls, different kind of canvassing. So you're combining forces. We did a little bit of that, but not as much. So I think that would have looked different. But to win a local election, it's about relationships. And see, if I had say for example, Rashida's people and my people, and all of a sudden we seen together, some of that is going to bleed over and it's going to change some votes. But again, I think that would have looked different. The fifth district, they weren't let down. I think a lot of most of the neighborhood association presidents and the coalition wanted change. Now, we didn't get the change in the seat, but that don't mean we're going to stop working on change behind the scenes. So the fifth district coalition, I'm going to be working with them. I'm going to be working with the West Side Chatham team, who is looking at a lot of the annexation of Savannah. So those two groups I've already reached out to, and I'm going to stay engaged with the Liberty City Association as well as Tatumville. And so I'm not going to stop that work. It's just, again, you don't necessarily have to have the seat to do the work. And I tell people all the time, the worst thing they could have done is to not let me get that seat, because now I'm not bound by anything. I can do and say as I need. So you really messed up by doing that. So now I can work with Dr. Harris and in a number of these groups, and we can be even louder now.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I was saying. I'm like, with me personally, I could never um run for office because I don't need nobody to control my mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I help my community better by doing what I'm doing now. I'm a loud mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? I make sure, hey, I tell them, like, look here, this shit wrong. This how you should do it. But all of a sudden, when us look like us, not for us, and all of a sudden everything changed when, like I told them at one of the debates, don't come to our neighborhood every 4 years because you need a vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Carolyn Bell this. I said, so after it's always said and done, we won't see y'all no more in it. Nah, it's not like that. It's not okay. We ain't gonna see their ass no more. But let me tell you this here. All the thing y'all did was y'all woke up the horse.
Yeah.
Y'all woke up the horse. This ain't gonna be easy. Y'all thinking y'all gonna sit down there, drink coffee, and have a good time and continue to do the people wrong? Y'all done lost your mind.
Yeah.
Because our black media is here to stay, and we're gonna make sure you do the right thing, or else in the middle of your turn, you may leave.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? So my question to you on this is that what is your future? What is your future? What is your future plan for as politics?
well,
Is
yeah. There's no secret I talked to Julius and Charlie and you and Jay Jones, and I'm starting to do some talks with J. Craig Gordon, who has done a lot of this work. But it's a stepping cadence with a lot, and I want to talk with Todd and Rashida, and I know they're still doing their family time and healing. But I do know that I have come to the conclusion that it's probably an 85% chance that I will jump back into the city council race. It just depends on what seat.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave that really wide open because there are going to be some interesting moves in that area. And so that part we haven't figured out yet. Ultimately, again, we'll see, because I definitely think that we've got to put a different flavor across the board in that council. That council, if you think about it, that council has been the same. You have remnants from that council that date back 30 years. We got to do a clean sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to say those people are bad. It's to say that it's time for different ideas. This is a different city. It's a different era. And it's a shame. I'm trying to think now. I don't think anybody on that. I'm willing to say the average age of that council, and I'm just making this up right now based on what I can see, might be 55 or older. The average age, which is not good.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is, you don't have anybody on there really under the age of 40, which are 45, or really maybe 50.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's you have now ultimately completely shut out a whole segment of the community.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the question I asked Wednesday. What incentive do young people have? They don't even see themselves. It's
Mm-hmm.
like this here. We used to have a situation in schools many years ago where black males were not achieving because guess what? They didn't see people like them in the classroom, teachers or administrators. So why would young people get involved when they don't see people on government that resemble them? Thank God we have Adot Whiteley and Jay Jones and all that who served on commission, and folks that Brother Paul Smith on school board and others like that. But we got to do a better job of making sure that we have a cross section of our community that's representing the city and the county, because we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to clear something up that you said. That they're not bad people. They are bad people. I'm saying it. They are bad people. They're only good for themselves. They're selfish. Every last one of them, from Linda, Estella, Levitt, Nick, Pewdy, Van, whoever else I'm leaving out, city manager, all of them. I have never seen so many lookalikes and being distributed around this city the way they did it a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I just don't understand, man. You got Stillwood Tower that these people are just suffering. You got these people at these dialysis just suffering. You got people that don't know what they're doing, killing people. That at the end of the day, so I'm coming. Like I say, January 2024, I'm coming hard because I'm gonna go down there with a package deal and say, okay, this is what y'all need to do. Even though somebody said it was these people the Stillwell and that is private owned. I don't care what's the private owned. It's still in Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You still could control it, whether it's private owned or not. You could give them a sanction. You could say, hey, clean this up in 30 days. You know.
Well, it's called city ordinances, and I mean the city. Let me tell you something about what interests me about a lot of, and this goes back to the mayor and the city manager. They already don't follow their own city ordinances. I'll give you case in point. One of the reasons why I'm working with the West Side Coalition, you'll see warehouses, and matter of fact, I'll even go to the warehouses built in people's backyard. If you go on Ogeechee Road, you know where Ogeechee Road is. Mm-hmm. Right when you pass Inmark, right across from the Bojangles, they built this apartment complex. There's a city ordinance that says when you build anything, warehouse complex, there needs to be a buffer of vegetation, trees of so wide that has to separate residential areas and stuff like that. They don't follow that ordinance. So the thing is, like you said, they could place an ordinance that would place a framework around developers and Stillwell Tower folks. Mm-hmm. They just fail to do that because, again, they get so blinded by the money. The money, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. You got Jay down there making $300,000 a year. So he's gonna do what he's supposed to do. He's gonna protect that check.
Right.
Other ones, hey.
All right. So my question is, Sue, and break it down for me, like I'm a little kid. Break it down like I'm in kindergarten. What is their job? What is they're supposed to be doing? Yeah. First, fifth, second year. Yeah. Break it down to me so I can understand, because I don't see them doing shit. So break it down to me.
I love that question because I tell you why I love the question, because you'll see certain aldermen, in particular the 5th District, will come in and say, well, I'm not going to mess with the city manager. He's a competent man. The city manager is basically we're a city manager-led government. So the city manager is the city CEO of the city. Every CEO has a board of directors. That's the city council. So the city council is Jay Melder's board of directors. They tell him what to do. Mm-hmm. So the mayor just happens to be the chairman of the board. Mm-hmm. Linda, he's not your boss. He's the chairman of the board, right? But guess who the stakeholders are? The voters. So that's why I keep telling people, get out and vote. You're the stakeholders. You tell city council what to do. City council tells Jay Melder what to do. Jay Melder basically hires and fires city staff, police chief, fire chief, just all. That's what he does. So that's how government works. Mm-hmm. The problem becomes when Jay not gonna mess with his check, but you getting the board of directors being paid off or what have you, or donations or what have you from all these influential people who gonna now tell Jay what to do, who now get to then dictate what the city folks do. Mm-hmm. So it's a big game. So what you gotta do, you gotta hold all the person accountable, like this fairgrounds. All of a sudden, it went from senior home living to low income housing. Come on with the foolishness. And that's why I have major respect for Bernetta and Alicia, because they don't need all that extra money and all that. They're gonna keep it, they're gonna be very transparent with you. Mm-hmm. Because you got folk down there that will tell a lie, just protect the bag. And they didn't get mad when you say it, but it's the truth. It is the God honest truth. You're not gonna tell me, and I'm about to go there. You're not gonna tell me I had a whole debate with an opponent who had to read off a paper every time I had her in a meeting. You got to read, and mind you, had somebody else prepare it.
Yeah, I seen that.
But you should know how can I spout off the facts and the issues, and because see, I'm not gonna have nobody pay me, and a lot of them that was amen and making all that noise in the debates. They got a little check, too, a little bit of money. That's how that works. But to answer your question, the city manager hires and fires city staff. The city manager's board of directors and bosses is is the city council. The mayor is the chairman, and the stakeholders are the citizens.
So the city manager can fire the mayor?
No.
Okay, how do you get rid of the mayor?
The mayors be voted from a recount through the state. Now you can't do a read. I forgot what it is. Dr. Harris knows how to do it, but well, she knows the procedures. But you go through a recall of something like a recall, very similar to a
Mhm.
recall.
Yeah, and I
But
think I think in this election should be a recall.
yeah, I mean,
It's
if
a lot.
enough citizens get together and
Yeah,
sign a
yeah,
petition, yeah,
because you had one candidate on there. She was running, but she is not a registered voter. So she took what 2% of the people that vote should have went to somebody else, whether it went to him or whether it went to Keisha. Because
yeah.
so it should be a recount. It should be they should rerun the mayor race because it was falsely won by this man, and then one candidate wasn't a registered voter. You can't do that.
Well, they got it, that and I like the city clerk. He's a cool guy. I find it. I don't understand how not only did that slip through, but you had another candidate running in the second district who
Yeah,
didn't even live in the second district.
and yeah,
But
yeah,
y'all just don't. You just don't know that. Like, come on, y'all.
yeah. You see the click? You see how you
Uh,
putting all the click together?
It just
So they're thinking us that look like us is crazy and foolish, and us look is the one put them down there and the one sent them down there. And let's bring that up with Levitt. Dude, you know you ain't staying in the second district. Use a puppet. All of them down is a puppet for Van Johnson. A puppet. That's all he is a puppet. And this dude, anybody that's from the north, slick talking, good for nothing, love to take the system, um, um, love to take. That's all they do from the north. That's what they do. They know how to manipulate the system.
yeah.
So I don't like none of them. I don't like with me. I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy.
Everybody got their
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I know I'm crazy. But when I'm in public when I'm in public, I am the quietest man that you have because I don't want nobody to talk to me. Don't touch me. That's why that saying comes, don't touch me. I ain't got nothing to say to you because I don't trust you and I don't want to be around you. You know what I'm saying? The same friends I got when I was 14 or 12 years old, RG, I still
yeah.
have the same friends and I'm 61 years old.
That's it.
So I always tell them, God made me, mama raised me, and daddy beat my ass. You can't break me. You know what I'm saying? And you the same way. Don't let nobody make you feel. My mama always told me, do not let nobody make you feel less than a man. And
Oh no,
basically,
let me tell you
a
something.
woman. Period.
Let me tell you something. I tell people, and I had to tell somebody something. I say, if you want to know my real character, and I don't care what nobody say about me. If you want to know my real character, when my daddy, I was at my dream job. I was a vice president at a school making good money. I came down here one summer and saw my mama walking around with Alzheimer's, and my daddy couldn't handle it. I stopped immediately, moved back, and took care of them. That's who I am. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna take care of
Mm-hmm.
people, but I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
take care of family first. Even now, still here taking care of helping with family and all that. Um, and the biggest thing is if you and what got me was I never forget it. There was a man, and I'm not gonna call his name because he'd be pissed. I don't care if he's pissed, but there was a man. I laid around the corner. I grew up in her house with her grandson, and she helped raise me. She helped take care of me and bring me up. And mom had to go to work, and I had to go around there until the bus came. Her son was so nasty to me in our meetings and liberty meetings, but I never did anything.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget it. And he put my opponent's son in the yard, and I said, if his mom had been here, if Miss she'd been here, she would have never tolerated that. I
Mm-hmm.
never forget it. The day before the election, his sister came down here and talked about how how things were going and how the other siblings, that one included, had put their mom into a nursing home, but yet you got the nerve to talk about me. I said, don't worry about it. I said, let God's gonna handle those type of people. But the true testament of me is that lady back there. The only way she gonna leave this earth is out her house. But everybody can't say that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's I tell people, if you really want to know to test me, I took care of most people have one or two or three siblings to help take care of their parents. It was me and
Mm-hmm.
two of them. And I do it, and I went to work, and I continue to do it.
Yeah, you're right, and I see it. I see it like I say, a caregiver. I mean, that's the hardest job in the world, to be a
Yes, sir.
caregiver to your mama, your daddy, your wife. You know what I'm saying? And nothing gonna break us. Nothing gonna
No,
break us.
you ain't never been psychologically challenged until you got to change your mom and daddy diaper.
There you go. There you go.
Don't
There you
tell
go.
me nothing about who I am.
There you go.
I
There you
really-
go.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. And I tell people, look here, until you walk in my shoes, shut up.
I don't worry.
Until you been married for a woman for 35 years, been together for 40 years, and this woman went from um um 190, 195 or whatever to just 74 pounds, 54 pounds. Man, shut up. I don't care if you don't like me because I don't like you.
Let me tell you something. The only thing that got me to click and realize the other night I was sitting with my classmate and I couldn't get it. And I'm just sitting here angry and screaming. And he said, I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. He said, your daddy not proud of you right now. And he said, I'm telling you through the spirit. That was the only thing because I'm telling people until you have to sit through that,
Yeah,
man, please. You got to see your mom and daddy go from a mom. My mom was a teacher with a master's degree.
yeah,
Dad was a letter carrier, but their home had a family. And all of a sudden they can't talk and they don't understand who you are. And you got to feed them and change their diaper. I don't care what you say about me. I know the only thing that's going to keep me and straight is, well, what would they think of you?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the only thing that clicked in my head. Other than that,
yeah,
don't tell me about my drinking and all that. You don't know what I go through.
yeah. And I remember we had a conversation. And like I said, you're on American After Dark 101. We want to share. Appreciate y'all taking y'all time out Saturday night to tune in with us and the one and only little fella, R.G. Bryant. And I remember me and you had a conversation, right? And you broke down. I mean, you broke down in tears because, you know, I'm telling people business. You broke down in tears.
Yeah.
And you said that you had family members talking about you on trying to get you and your daddy to fall apart. You remember the conversation?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be very honest with you. At that time, it was a little. At that time,
Mhm.
it was a little more than drinking going on, and I knew what I had to do. I just wasn't willing to do it.
Mhm.
And my family knows what goes on. I'm not ashamed to say it. Like I told people, stuff goes on.
Yeah.
I live in Atlanta, and I've done things go on, and you try to what people got to understand. You try to fix things, or mask things, or heal things through different ways. It ain't the best way. It is what it is.
Right. Right.
And I kid you not, sometimes I'll tell you, no kidding. Sometimes there was times where I just didn't know what was going on. You hallucinate, you're thinking this and that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think, and when I think about it now, Daddy would not let the brakes. He wouldn't take the gas up off me because he knew that he was creating a diamond.
Mhm.
I didn't get it, but now I get it. And so, you know, I just thank God I didn't end up dead or in jail somewhere.
Yeah.
But again, that's God protecting you. Now,
Right.
young people, that's why I'm so big on these young. I'll never forget it. Me and Mr. Fields. Oh God, it's because the spirit moves me. Me and Mr. Fields were canvassing one day. And we met this family. It was a grandmama, and she had 3 young black males in the house. One was 12, one was 17, one was 15. One was 19. And so one day, it was about a month later, I said, Mr. Fields, something ain't right. We got to go around there. And we went around there. Police said, come and take the grandmama to jail, the 3 boys in the house. And so I said, okay. We sat down and I chastised them in the way only. I didn't cuss them out, nothing. But I was like, what was wrong with that? And what we gonna do? Now, before those young brothers go into any kind of anything, we had a long conversation. I made them fold envelopes for the campaign, but we kept them busy because I knew in my mind if I let y'all stay home by yourself tonight, something was gonna go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, with young people, and I'm big on this, we as a community got to protect our young brothers and sisters. More importantly, our young brothers, because they're gonna either end up in dead or in a jail cell, and that's not by any fault of their own. It's just their community. There's so much I saw in this campaign trail just in this little area here. See, and that's what makes me so upset about certain neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods are so siloed, but what goes on in Liberty City is going to affect Tatumville. What goes on in Tatumville is going to affect Liberty City. Mm-hmm. And I know for a fact, I interacted with two brothers that went to jail in Tatumville, and it bothered me because it was the fact of poverty. Poverty. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, they could have. No, they couldn't have. One struggled in so many ways. Not, I mean, struggled in many ways, but there's no way you know what I mean? You
Right.
sit to him and you talk to him, and then the girlfriend abused them, and the mama.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this when you, but when you and not going back to why, that's the why. When you
Mm-hmm.
realize you don't have a person that's going to sit down, I mean, there were many nights I went and sat with these young people and talked to them and cried with them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot out here. But
Yeah.
our communities are suffering a lot. But I say all that to say is the young people need to realize that if you find yourself in a predicament where you're not pleased, just don't think less than yourself. Just figure out what's the why.
Right.
There's a
Right.
why. Nobody gets up one day saying, I want to do these bad things.
Yeah.
Life is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Hell, I didn't even talk about this, but on top of two parents that I had to take care of, I got a brother incarcerated I got to take care of too.
Right. Right. Yeah.
then I go to work and then I deal with me. So by the time I done figured it all out, you know.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
just thank the Spirit of God for just saying, tighten yourself up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right, man. When you go through a lot, man, everybody, shit, I got drinking problem. I love to drink. Shit. I mean, everybody got problem. Everybody
Yeah.
what it is. So you can't judge somebody for what they is because you don't know what they went through. And so my question is, are you happy with yourself? Are you happy? Three-part question.
No.
Are you happy with yourself? Are you happy where your life is going to take you? And do you see yourself settling down, and just having a family and just settle down?
Well, the first so I always tell people this. Yeah, I am happy. I never saw myself being the patriarch role. uh but it is what it is. And what I mean by that is I have on daddy's side is nothing but a bunch of males. You always see me with two female cousins. Those are like my sisters. We grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
And so one has three sons, one has one son. And so I've got to in the way I think, I've got to set the example and be there for them, right?
Right.
As much as I can be. I'm not going to pay nobody's tuition on that, but where I
Right.
can be there for them, and especially for and for the young ladies. Like one of my cousins, she has a parent that lives in Charlotte. One day she wanted to go see her dad. I'm not going to let her drive on the highway by herself. So those types of things I have to step in when I can. What was the second one? Wherever life goes, it goes. I just the number one priority now is mama.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's got to be. Right now, because I'm still managing the estate, it's just she's the priority. And every time I try to settle down or think about that or get close to that, it's weird being in their house, in their bedroom. It's just weird. And then she's there, and right now it's just she's the priority, and she's going to be the priority. It's just I can't get beyond that. It's hard to get beyond that.
Yeah.
One, because me and mom are extremely, extremely close. I tell people, I think the only person that know my parents more than them are their parents, other than me. And
Yeah.
so it's just weird. Like, you want to have somebody in the house or stay the night or whatever, then you got like, damn, I'm across the hall. Like, it's
Right.
the house is like, damn,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's weird. So,
Yeah.
she remains a priority, and that's yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I understand that because sometimes, man, with us, I sacrifice my happiness from my child.
Mhm.
Whether I be with somebody, don't be with nobody. At the end of the day, as long as my child is okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, man. It's been a wonderful,
Yeah.
great interview. I hope that people, like I said, cleared up, with RG Bryant.
Yeah.
I thank you for being honest. I thank you
Yeah.
for continuing to fight for Savannah people. And like I said, I want to congratulate you for just you being you.
No, man, that's it. That's all I can
And
do.
for always support me. You like a little brother. You get on my
Yeah.
damn nerve. time, but we fight and argue, but we on the same page. So this is the last question of the night. I know you interested in getting your own show. So can you elaborate on that?
Oh man, yeah. So so we're gonna start a new show called the Political Spectrum in January. And he's a younger guy. Again, let me go back to this. I am very dedicated to making sure we engage young people and however that looks. And so Dante Thompson, Dante's from Savannah. He lives in Atlanta. He's a known Republican. He's younger than me by 10 years, so he's in his 30s. And I want that vibrant. We disagree, but we don't fight and argue and be nasty. So he and I are like this. But we're going to have a great conversation. It's about board education. It's about what does it mean, conservative or liberal. We're going to talk about all of that in a way that's really good and spiritual and engaging. He has his ideas on how he wants to do it. We're going to bring it all in. But the thing is to demonstrate to young folk and elders how do we do this in a way that's intergenerational and hear each other and bring each other in. We're actually going to one of our guests, our permanent guest, is going to be Clinton. Clinton is a libertarian. A lot of people don't know that. Clinton Coward ran against Todd. He's a libertarian.
Right.
And he's a white male. So bringing in that white male conversation. Yeah. And so we're trying to do some things a little different. I think y'all are going to really like Dante. Same thing we did with on the Watchdogs with Carlton.
Right.
As a young early 30s, we got to start doing this, folks. Yeah. And that's what I want to talk about on the Rabble night. It's not they got to come to the table, go get them.
Right.
Meet people where they are. And I'm big on that. Let's get these young brothers in here. And I need some young sisters. If y'all want to be on too, Tiffany's another one. I brought Tiffany. You're gonna be on the show.
Right.
Because they don't always know how. Younger generations don't know necessarily how to get to the table, and sometimes the way I operate is come with me, just come on with me. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm scared. Carlton was so. I don't know what to say, Carlton. You are one of the most brilliant people I know. Yeah, and he has proven that he is one of the just bright minds. Yeah. But until we bring them to the table, they don't know how to get there sometimes. Or they feel shy. They don't feel adequate. They feel they're impossible. Yeah. These are some young, brilliant kids, smarter than me. Yeah.
And you're right. It's like this, man. It's gonna be 4 years. Next year gonna be 4 years for America After Dark, us, watched all that. I mean, you grow up, you go in there hungry, then you get used to it. And like I said, I want to thank you for sitting down on your Saturday night to have this interview with me. I appreciate it, and I want everybody to share. I hope y'all got a great understanding on this young man. He's here to stay, and remember him in 2028. And I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I thank you. And like I say, hey. I appreciate it, man, and you have a good night and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
All right.
And we out of here.
All right. Now, y'all have a good one.
All right. Bye, bro.
like this.